Krakoa has just begun to fight. Mutant kind has never had a greater fall. From the highs of Krakoa, their own glorious nation, a place where they were safe and happy, to the lowest of lows. Outlawed, hunted, killed, most of their kind missing or dead, and now one of their greatest leaders, Cyclops, is on trial facing a death penalty. Ready or not, the time has come for the X-Men to make their final stand against the forces that have struck them low. The day is now. The place is here. The tale of the House of Xavier built will long be told, and few will forget their darkest chapter. From writer Gerry Duggan, X-Men, Marauders, Uncanny Avengers, and artist Lucas Werneck, Immortal X-Men, X-Men, The Trial of Magneto, comes half the story that will bring the Krakoa Age to its conclusion. Fall of the House of X, Volume 1, Issue 1, The Trial of Cyclops. But those of who live we resist. Are you ready to go to war? Quote, Polaris. The story begins with Cyclops experiencing a recurring dream. Though he's aware it's a dream, it feels undeniably real. In this dream, he finds himself forcibly dragged into an angry town, perplexed by the undeserved hostility directed at him. The means of transportation is a horse guided by a mysterious figure clad in a black trench coat and hat, symbolizing death. Cyclops contemplates that perhaps deserving or not has no bearing on the situation. Instead, it must be intertwined with his destiny and fate. Despite Cyclops' awareness that he will have an opportunity to speak, the presence of the villagers and the townspeople among his peer diminish its significance. He remains physically restrained with ropes marked by the ominous symbol of death, emphasizing the gravity of the situation. Cyclops senses that the trial is rigged with a judge he recognizes, someone he thought he knew. As Mr. Sinister declares him guilty on all counts, he's left astonished and betrayed by the person he once trusted, who has seemingly thrown him to the wolves. Swift justice awaits, and hanging looms ominously in my future. Despite the impending danger, Cyclops should be scared, yet an unusual calmness surrounds him. As Cyclops reclaims his innocence, the world seems to crumble beneath his feet. A red-haired onlooker observes as the ground beneath Cyclops vanishes, leaving him in a precarious and uncertain situation. However, Cyclops defies the expected fall, remaining suspended in the sky, defying gravity as he hovers above the ground. Suddenly, Cyclops awakens to find himself inside an armored car, his heart pounding, hands restrained behind his back. A special visor covers his eyes, and underneath they have been sewn shut, ensuring that nothing can inadvertently shoot out from his powerful gaze. With the doors of the armored car wide open, sunlight spills onto Cyclops, triggering a recollection. He vividly remembers being 1,000 miles away from the Hellfire Gala when he sensed the moment Jean Grey perished. Despite the distressing sensation of feeling Jean's death, Cyclops retains a sense of calm. Having experienced this before, he holds on to belief that, as in previous instances, Jean will come back. Cyclops reflects on his predicament, acknowledging that Orcus has orchestrated his trial strategically with all the mutants as his co-defendants. Despite seemingly playing along, he is buying time for the resistance to mount a counter-offensive. The insidious nature of Orcus lies in their ability to manipulate public sentiment, making everyone cheer at the mutants' suffering. Drawing a parallel with the historical trial of Magneto in Paris, Cyclops anticipates that this time the trial will unfold as Orcus intends. However, he is confident that the broader war will not go according to plan. The conflict involves two sides, one supported by Sentinel Iron Man and humans who harbor hatred towards mutants, while the other side unites humans with mutants and the X-Men in their shared struggle. During the concurrent age, a remarkable era marked the fusion of advanced technology and mutant abilities. Mutants harnessed their powers to create a carbon-negative nation that extended across multiple worlds, including Earth, Mars, and beyond. Historians widely agree that one of the pinnacles of this primordial mutant technology was called the Fastball Special, an iconic move where Colossus throws Wolverine as fast and a deadly projectile towards their enemies. In this particular instance, Colossus readies his arms as Wolverine assumes a lock and loaded position, claws unsheathed for the impending attack. With uncanny accuracy, Colossus hurls Wolverine at the target, who wears a big grin on his face. The absence of the rule against killing humans adds a newfound newfound sense of freedom and ferocity to Wolverine's demeanor. In the aftermath of the Hellfire Gala, where numerous mutants were seemingly killed, displaced, or forced into hiding, Colossus and Wolverine find themselves beneath the Paris courthouse, seething with discontent. An Orcus soldier, unaware of the futility, fires at Colossus' armor, causing no damage. Deviating from the traditional Fastball Special, Colossus seizes an Orcus soldier and dubs the move the Pinata Special. With a grin, he hurls the soldier towards Wolverine, introducing a unique and seemingly improvised tactic to their repertoire. Treating the Orcus soldier as a pinata, Wolverine swiftly cuts him open. However, as he does, so the word awful escapes his lips, acknowledging the less than flattering nickname for the move. Wolverine comments, "That's a terrible name, Pete. I thought you Russians were poets." Colossus responds, "I'm not feeling very poetic." Colossus declares, "Let's go liberate Cyclops." In response, Wolverine jokes, "What if we call that move the Screwball Special, keeping the atmosphere light amid their mission?" Colossus inquires, "Why Screwball, Wolverine?" To which Wolverine responds, "'Cause they were screwed." Colossus simply replies, "Da," acknowledging the aptness of the name. "Cyclops, someone is coming to see you," the Orcus soldier announces. Cyclops wittily responds from his dream, "Is it a redhead with sharp objects floating around her?" The Orcus soldier clarified, "No, it's Dr. Alia Gregor. She worked on the new initial Sentinel program, and her husband was killed by an X-Men Strike Force team. Including in this meeting is Karima Shapeander, the Omega Sentinel." With a smug expression, Dr. Gregor walks into the room, exuding confident that she has emerged victorious in the war. Addressing Cyclops, she says, "Scott Summers." In response, Cyclops calmly retorts, "Dr. Gregor, this might surprise you to hear, but you've been on my mind." Dr. Gregor inquires if Cyclops is replaying the moment that made her a widow. Cyclops responds, stating he has no memory of leading the assault on the Mother Mold. He confesses to contemplating the toll of war, explaining that he was killed on the mission but cloned afterward. While his memory was backed up until the mission's outset, the moment of death left him with no recollection of the events. Dr. Gregor remarks, "Some of us paid more than others." Confident and composed, Cyclops replies, "I know grief is a heavy set of chains." However, Dr. Gregor sternly warns him not to assume he understands her perspective. She emphasizes that due to their sacrifice, the last human has perished because of mutant aggression. Dr. Gregor asserts that she isn't struggling with the situation and cautions Cyclops against pretending to know her. She believes that if all mutants are eliminated or contained, there will be no more human deaths at the hand of mutants. Cyclops observes that Dr. Gregor seems inebriated, but proceeds to ask a pertinent question, wondering why she is present and why Omega Sentinel is accompanying her. He notes that if there is a purpose isn't to discuss war, he is curious about their visit. Omega Sentinel expresses a similar curiosity, questioning why she is present. In response, Dr. Gregor explains that they are there because she wanted Cyclops to see and to inform him that while she lost a battle and a husband, she ultimately won the war. Cyclops, maintaining his smug demeanor, asserts, "I think you came here for something else." And what would that be? A human interaction with a man experiencing his own profound grief. And what happens after, when the last mutant is dead under your heels? I'm not sure. I suppose mankind exhales and lives happily ever after? That's a funny idea to you. Human happiness? My question wasn't for you, Dr. Gregor. We should go, Dr. Gregor. And Cyclops is needed back in court. At the Green Lagoon on Krakoa, Professor X stands gazing at what was once the utopia of the island. Despite directing the mutants to go through the gateways to avoid being killed by their enemies, he now realized he was deceived, believing that they are all dead. He had thought he was saving them by sending them to a presumed safe haven, Mars. Unbeknownst to him, 250,000 mutants patiently wait to be summoned back to Earth. Xavier, unaware of this, whispers to himself, "No more." Professor Xavier, burdened with the guilt and looking weary, appears disheveled with beard and sprouts of hair on his head. Overwhelmed by the weight of his decision, he repeats a little louder this time, "No more." This time unleashing a psionic blast, Professor Xavier declares, "No more," with a heightened intensity echoing his determination to put an end to the challenges and hardships faced by the mutants. Sending a a telepathic message, Professor Xavier conveys that it's time for a decisive and significant movement. Charles Xavier communicates with Rasputin, urging her to join him. He acknowledges her critical role in the rescue mission, but emphasizes the urgency. Xavier expresses awareness of her efforts to balance their work and the X-Men. He assures her that together they can save everyone, urging her to trust him and join him immediately to fix everything. Rasputin 4, believing Xavier's words, concedes, saying, "Very well." With Rasputin no longer in her position, she departs, leaving Colossus and Wolverine to fend for themselves in their rescue mission of Cyclops. Professor X's actions have seemingly complicated and compromised the mission. Wolverine, growing concerned, wonders about Rasputin's whereabouts as her communication with them remains silent, adding a layer of uncertainty to their mission. Wolverine, relying on the heightened senses, detects the approach of Orcus's soldiers through their scent and prepares himself for an immediate battle. A Colossus force approaches and suddenly a massive explosion erupts, forcefully throwing back Wolverine and Colossus, signaling the unexpected and potential formidable nature of the impending threat. As the smoke clears, an electromagnet tank comes into view, accompanied by Orcus's soldiers preparing to open fire on the X-Men. The formidable presence of this tank and the armed soldiers intensifies the challenge faced by Wolverine and Colossus's rescue mission. Confronted by the electromagnetic waves emitted by the tank, Colossus and Wolverine find themselves trapped against a brick wall, immobilized and unable to move. The electronic magnet tank proves to be too formidable adversary, escalating the perilous situation for the X-Men. An Orcus soldier rushes forward with a flamethrower, unleashing searing flames upon Wolverine. The soldier fervently screams out for humanity, while Wolverine, engulfed in pain, echoes his distress with agonizing screams. The intense confrontation intensifies, with the conflict between the mutants and humans reaching a critical point. Amidst the laughter of the Orcus soldier, an unexpected turn occurs as the iconic Nightcrawler materializes with a signature BAMF sound. He remarks, it would appear as we've lost Rasputin 4. Expressing concern, Nightcrawler announces his arrival, declaring, "As Nightcrawler, I am here to save my X-Men," setting the stage for a dramatic rescue mission. Nightcrawler swiftly springs into action, launching powerful kicks and precise strikes against the Orcus soldiers, demonstrating his acrobatic prowess and combat skills in an effort to turn the tide of battle. Seizing the opportunity, Nightcrawler skillfully disarms the electromagnetic, freeing both Colossus and Wolverine. As Wolverine's body bears the scorched aftermath of the flamethrower attack, he grimly declares, "I'll kill them all," embodying a fierce determination for retribution against their adversaries. Colossus, fueled by anger and desire for justice, declares, "Let these Orcus cowards run. Every murderer in red, every ally of fascism, will die squirming beneath my metal foot." His words convey a resolute determination to confront and defeat those responsible for the atrocities committed against mutants. Nightcrawler, expressing concerns for his friend Wolverine's well-being, is filled with fear as he witnesses the physical toll and injuries sustained during the battle. The bond between the X-Men is evident as Nightcrawler worries about Wolverine's health in the aftermath of the intense confrontation. Wolverine, shaking off the fear, declares, "No more fear from this moment on. They are the ones who will fear." Nightcrawler responds with determination, stating, "Then to war." As Wolverine heals and Colossus readies himself for battle, Nightcrawler uses teleportation ability to whisk them away, signaling the start of a united and empowered counterattack against their adversaries. Back at the courthouse, the prosecutor confidently asserts that he has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the mutants pose a menace. He accuses them of being the leader of Krakoa, manipulating the so-called Quiet Council, and committing crimes such as stealing Mars. The focus turns to Cyclops, who admits to being their leader. Concluding the case, the prosecutor confidently states, "The prosecution rests, Your Honor, leaving the fate of mutants hanging in the balance." As the judge orders the defense to begin, Cyclops takes a firm stance, declaring, "I will offer no defense, Your Honor." He refuses to dignify what he perceives as nonsense, recognizing that the court is poised to convict him guiltily regardless of his response. Cyclops acknowledges that the inherent bias against mutants and Krakoa. I know there is good in humanity, but I am not being prosecuted by it. The judge issues a warning about this non-tactic, cautioning that he will likely be found guilty in the capital case. The underlying sentiment prevails. Cyclops was seemingly destined to be deemed guilty long before the prosecution case ever began. Defiantly, Cyclops asserts, I can only be judged by one soul, and I don't think you like to meet her, referring to none other than the Omega-level mutant Jean Grey. By invoking Jean Grey, Cyclops implies that the true judgment of her actions lies beyond the confines of the courtroom, in a realm where the power and influence of a fellow powerful mutant can't be ignored. At the Bloom Orcus space station, Mr. Sinister and the rest of Orcus celebrate the perceived guilty verdict of Krakoa and the mutants. The atmosphere is one of triumph for the anti-mutant forces. However, Omega Sentinel observes the revelry with a distinct and perhaps conflicted expression, adding a layer of complexity to the moment. As the party continues, Omega Sentinel gives a chilling order, directing Nimrod to go and kill Krakoa. Nimrod coldly responds, my pleasure, Omega Sentinel. The ominous announcement signals a grave threat as Nimrod prepares to carry out the mission to eliminate Krakoa. Omega Sentinel, addressing the partygoers, announces a change in their celebration plans. She declares, we will celebrate in Sentinel City, not with Orcus. The shift in location implies a strategic move, emphasizing the significance of the occasion and hinting at further developments in their anti-mutant agenda. In the quiet council chambers of Krakoa, Nimrod taunts, hey there, you big dumb island. I wish I could say this won't hurt. Krakoa is taken aback as the shocking revelation unfolds. Nimrod is set on a mission to attempt the destruction of the island of Krakoa. In a desperate bid to defend itself, Krakoa spews out amber covering Nimrod. The substance serves as a protective measure thwarting Nimrod's attempt to fatally attack and potentially eliminating the immediate threat to the island. The amber proves effective in disabling Nimrod, rendering him seemingly defeated and powerless. The new threat has been temporarily neutralized, providing a moment of peace for Krakoa. The powerful mutant island of Krakoa communicates with Nimrod, addressing what consequences lie ahead for him. The island makes known its intentions and the repercussions of Nimrod may face for attempting to harm Krakoa and its inhabitants. Krakoa, asserting its dominance, banishes Nimrod Prime to his pits, a place where escaping would be an arduous task. Aware that the other Sentinels will likely come seeking revenge, Krakoa anticipates the impending threat. Despite the challenge, Nimrod Prime emerges from the ground and hastily starts running, indicating a resilient determination to escape and resume its mission. The conflict between Krakoa and the Sentinels continues to escalate. For months, the X-Men have faced dire circumstances, with mutants dead and scattered, leaving them without their backs against the wall. Now, after a week, the diminished Krakoa finds himself running for its life, highlighting the prolonged and relentless challenges faced by the mutants. Krakoa wasn't merely a living space for mutants, it embodied their promise of a united mutant future built on the principle of peaceful coexistence. However, this vision was hindered by humanity's unwillingness to embrace coexistence, and now Krakoa faced existential threats as the mutants grappled with their consequences of that rejection. Stark Industry has fallen under the control of Fei Long, and the Iron Man Sentinels are now being manipulated by Orcus. Dr. Leah Gregor represents Orcus, addressing the people of Earth through the Iron Man Sentinel. She asserts that humanity had a false sense of security with the mutants, accusing them of not caring for humanity's well-being. Dr. Gregor claims that Krakoa has been proven to be invasive alien species, and she warns them that they will destroy both Krakoa and all mutants. She reveals the alleged betrayal, stating that the mutant medicines prove to the countries recognizing Krakoa's sovereignty and offering free citizenship to mutants for medical purposes were in fact effective and poison. Of course, this was all orchestrated by Orcus. The stage is set for a heightened conflict between the mutants and the humans. Dr. Leah Gregor, speaking on behalf of Orcus, warns that the upcoming hours will be uncomfortable. Despite expressing a lack of enthusiasm for violence, she justifies their actions by invoking the metaphor of the tree of liberty, being dry and thirsting for righteous vengeance. Gregor asserts that Krakoa will be eradicated and mutants who don't depart the planet peacefully will face liquidation. The ominous declaration underscores the severity of Orcus's intention and their determination to eliminate the perceived threat posed by mutants. Rogue, reflecting on Dyer's situation, remarks, well, sugar, everything might have gone to hell. Her statement encapsulates the gravity of the circumstance, acknowledging acknowledging the challenge and the uncertainties faced by the mutants in the midst of the escalating conflict. Rogue notes that at least they managed to take down some Orcus operatives. However, concerns linger as Kitty Pryde queries the whereabouts of Rasputin 4, and Gambit questions the fate of Iron Man's grand plan. Kitty Pryde reveals that Iron Man is executing the plan at that very moment, emphasizing that they weren't prepared for the invasion yet. With everything unraveling, she urges the group to leave immediately, emphasizing that they are scattered all over. Kitty mentions multiple gates that she can use to rally the troops, underscoring that only she can pass through the former gates. The urgency and the need for swift action underscores the critical state of affairs for the mutants. Kitty begins traveling the gateways, rallying an army that includes the Invincible Iron Man, the White Queen Emma Frost. The journey takes her to various locations. Araco, she enlists the Juggernaut, Miss Marvel, and even the Avengers, who are operating covertly to avoid public scrutiny. However, the situation takes a concerning turn as Polaris, the daughter of Magneto, is missing. The unfolding events paint a complex picture, blending alliances and tension among mutants and other powerful figures in this critical moment. Kitty Pryde wonders aloud, where did you run off to? The scene shifts to nowhere, located on the far side of Jupiter, with a decapitated celestial head. Here an ominous presence looms, the Brood, the most detested parasites in the universe. Not long ago, they had fallen under the control of a mutant named Brute. The setting introduces a new layer of tension and potential conflict involving these former adversaries. Bro expresses concerns and surprise, addresses someone he believes to be Jean. He had been worrying about her not returning, and then the unexpected reappearance has caught him off guard. Bro is taken aback, exclaiming, "Oh, it's you. You're the last person I expected to come out of this way." Their interaction hints at an unexpected turn of events or a transformation in character that Brood didn't anticipate. Polaris makes a dramatic entrance adorned in the magnificent style helmet and a clad in green. She somberly declares, "Jean is dead, Brood, but those who live, we resist." The appearance of Polaris signals a significant shift in the situation, and her commitment to resistance in the face of adversity adds a new layer to the unfolding narrative. Polaris, are you ready to go to war? Brood, yes. Jean saved me. Save these Brood. With Polaris' declaration and the resolve to resist the rallying cries echoes. Then to war. The stage is set for a conflict, and the characters brace themselves for the challenges that lie ahead in its tumultuous and evolving narrative. Next issue, Fall of the House of X, Volume 1, Issue 2, War.